California. She lived with her parents, Zachary Gusé and Lindsay Fairley, and she also had an older brother named Branson. When Karlie was only 2 years old, her parents divorced, and she stayed with her mother. But then at some point later on in her childhood, Karlie's mother, Lindsay, was moving to Nevada, and since Karlie wanted to stay in California, she moved in with her father in Chalfant Valley, California. That is a rural community. It has a very desert-like quality to it. I guess it is a desert. And at that time, he had remarried a woman named Melissa, and they had 2 boys of their own. So these were Lindsay's half-brothers. And I believe that her brother Branson also moved in with Zach and Melissa, but I'm not she really could not calm Karlie down. Karlie had no explanation as to what the problem was. Melissa would later describe her as looking very pale, like a ghost with dilated pupils. So Melissa started to drive home, but Karlie kept jumping from one seat to the next while she was driving. You know, she was jumping from the front seat to the back seat to the front, you know, jumping around, saying she was afraid that they were going to die, that the car was going to kill them. So Melissa was thinking, you know, there's no need for me to take her to the hospital. Obviously, you know, it's something that she smoked, and, you know, with a little bit of time, she will start to calm down. You know, that's what Melissa thought. So they got home, they went into the house, and she was still acting paranoid and erratic. When her father, Zach, walked into the room, Karlie jumped and she's like, "Who is that?" And Melissa had to tell her, "That's your father." Melissa decided she would audio record Karlie because she wanted to play it for her later and say, "Look what the marijuana did to you. It made you act like this. Listen to what you were saying." So she started to record her. And at one point, you can hear that Karlie says to Melissa, quote, "If something were to happen, would you call 911? And Melissa answered, "Of course." Karlie said, "I really messed up today." And Melissa said, "We all do things in life that we regret, substances especially." And Melissa told Karlie she should get some sleep. And Karlie said, "No, I don't want to go to sleep. You're gonna kill me." And Melissa said, "Why would I kill you? That's preposterous." Karlie said, "I'm just thinking all this demonic stuff. I can't help it." Now, I heard the recording, and Karlie just sounds like this little scared, like crying girl through all of this. She's like crying, and, you know, she just sounds really, really scared. was saying that the version that she told the police is the truth, that she had stayed there in bed with Karlie all night. Okay, so anyway, she realizes that Karlie is gone, and she and Zach get into their cars and start driving around the neighborhood looking for her. Now, it's all like desert, it's like I said, it's rural desert. And they didn't find her. They called Donald, her boyfriend. He didn't know either, and he started to panic as well. And by 9:35 a.m., Zach called his ex-wife, Lindsay, and here's how she described the call. Quote, "At 9:35 a.m. on Saturday, October 13th, I was notified by her father, my ex-husband, that she was gone. Gone, to me, is a huge red flag and has never sat easily with me," end quote. So she explained that when she heard the word gone, she instantly assumed that just meant dead. And ever since then, she has been suspicious that Zach and Melissa had something to do with whatever happened to Karlie. So, after Zach called Lindsay, he then called the sheriff's department and reported her missing. And Melissa told the police that the last time she saw Karlie, Karlie was wearing skinny jeans and a white t-shirt. 3 witnesses came forward that were all deemed as credible by the sheriff's department. One was a neighbor from down the street who was sitting in his hot tub drinking a coffee when she walked by around 6:30 or 6:45 a.m. He said something didn't seem right about her. Quote, "She was looking up, looking around at the sky with a piece of paper in her hands. It was kind of unusual. We don't have a lot of kids out walking," end quote. Another witness who lived around the corner from the family said he saw Karlie walking by that morning, also holding a piece of paper in her hands. A third witness saw someone who looked like Karlie at the corner of Highway 6, around a mile from her house, standing on the inside of a barbed wire fence at around 7 to 7:30 a.m. All the witnesses said she was wearing gray sweatpants and a white shirt, which was different than what Melissa had said. Melissa said skinny jeans, and people were wondering about that discrepancy as well later on, saying, why are you saying she was wearing something different from what all the witnesses said? And the belief was that it is possible that Karlie could have changed her pants before she left. Very possible. Now, the police checked with the host of the party that Karlie had been to, and they admitted, yes, everyone there was smoking marijuana, but there was nothing funny in it, and nobody had gotten a reaction except Karlie, and they had not been using anything else. The police were able to test a little bit of what was left of the marijuana, and it did not come up as being laced with anything. Now, they asked the guys, where did you get the drugs? But they were never willing to disclose who they got it from. I guess for obvious reasons, they didn't want to get that person in a lot of trouble. So no one was ever able to find out who the source was for the drugs, which I don't know how much help that would be since the drugs didn't appear to be laced, but it's possible that Karlie was using something else other than the marijuana that no one knew about, and maybe she had gotten it from the same person who had given them the marijuana, so maybe that person could have said, hey, she was trying this or that, and that might explain her behavior, but we'll never know. eventually that footage did get published on People Magazine Investigates show, so I heard it. It was exactly what I told you. It wasn't anything suspicious there. Some people also suggested maybe Melissa hit Karlie when they were out looking for her in the desert, and that she had ran her over and killed her, and that's why she was hiding the truth. And it was said that she had gotten her car detailed shortly after this, and maybe that was because she had ran over Karlie. Some other theories of what could have happened were obviously that Karlie could have been picked up off of Highway 6 by somebody with evil intentions, and they had killed her or taken her somewhere where she has not been found. Or since she was intoxicated while she was walking along in the desert, maybe she passed out or fell and got hurt and, succumbed to the elements. And of course, there is a possible theory that she just ran away on purpose, but that is highly unlikely because of the fact that she didn't bring anything with her. Not even her cell phone, nothing, not a thing other than what she was wearing and the piece of paper, from what everyone is saying. So it's not really, no one really believes that she purposely ran away. In 2019, they were all invited to come on the Dr. Phil show, and Melissa and Zach thought it would be a good idea because, of course, that would get Karlie's picture out in a huge way. So they agreed, and Lindsay, her mother, also came on the show. But of course, Lindsay was under the impression that Melissa and Zach had something to do with this, that they were guilty. So that was the story that she portrayed, and Melissa and Zach told the story how they saw it. Now, in March of 2021, another lead came, and that was from a witness who said he used to be actively using drugs. Like, he was a drug addict at the time when she went missing. And he had seen Karlie at a party in Tonopah, Nevada, which is about 100 miles away from where Karlie lived. And he said he didn't tell anyone at the time that he believes that he saw her because he was, using. But now he is sober, and he wanted to tell them in case this could be useful to the case. And he was able to link a certain vehicle to, what he was saying. And they were able to get the vehicle, and they were supposedly investigating it for DNA to see if there was a connection. But we have never heard anything else about this tip. So there is nothing. I looked, on the internet, and there is nothing out there in terms of what became of that information. So either it was a dead end, or who knows. But at this point, she is still considered missing. And if you have any information, I have left all the details regarding who you can contact in the description box. So please, if you have any useful tips, let them know. And just to let you know, a description: at the time when she went missing, she was described as a white female with brown hair and blue eyes. She was 5'7" and weighed 110 pounds. She had a nose ring and maybe was wearing glasses. And here is her age progressed photo. And that is the case. What are your thoughts? I will share some of mine. First of all, my heart goes out to Karlie's family for everything that they have gone through and everything that they are still going through at this time. I know it must be absolutely unbearable for them not to believe that while she was still intoxicated, she wandered out and she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Somebody, some bad person drove by, saw her, and nabbed her. And chances are that she is no longer living. Now, I hope that that is not true. I hope that she is somewhere healthy and happy. I really hope that's the case, but I don't think so. So now another question, of course, is why was she having such a strong reaction to the marijuana when no one else was? Well, her boyfriend said it was because she hadn't used any in a while, and that's why she was reacting like that. I don't really think that's the case. I mean, I'm no expert, okay? But I would say she probably took something other than the marijuana, possibly some kind of hallucinogen, and maybe she was having what they used to call a bad trip, Now, do I think that her parents should have brought her to the hospital that night? Well, I don't think that she was in danger of having an overdose, okay? I don't think that was it. Well, if they had brought her to the hospital, even if she wasn't in need of any medical care, at least that would have prevented her from having, wandered off like she did and being possibly taken, right? So that would have been great if they had done that, but does it seem like that was a necessary thing to do given the way she was